Committee on Finance. Subcommittee J is hereby called to order. We would like to acknowledge our distinguished colleagues present here today, virtually present. We have with us Senator Ping Lacson, Senator Christopher Bongo, and Senator Mig Subiri, our Majority Floor Leader. Good morning, sirs. We would like to start by directing the Secretary's Office, the Secretariat, to acknowledge our guests physically and virtually present. So directed, please.
Good morning, the Honorable Chair and the other members of the committee, the Subcommittee J. For those who are physically attending our subcommittee budget hearing today, from the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office, we have Secretary Luz Verfida Pascual, is the Acting Presidential Advisor on Legislative Affairs, PLLO Malacanang, together with Undersecretary Antonio Gallardo, PLLO for the Senate. They are assisted virtually by Assistant Secretary Romulo Arugay, Assistant Secretary Orville Balito, Assistant Secretary Maria Ruena Saban, Director Nicole Bacolod, and Attorney Alma Royandoyan Ali. From the Office of the Games and Amusement Board, we are joined virtually by the Chairman Abraham Khalil Mitra. Please respond, Mr. Mitra, if you're Chairman Mitra, if you're online.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Your Honors. Abraham.
Good morning. Good morning.
Amusement's Board. Morning, Mr. Chairman.
The chairman is assisted on virtually also by the Chief Administrative Officer, Ms. Ofelina Ritardo. Mr. Romel Gutierrez, Providing Administrative Officer, and Ms. Josephine Alfonso, the Budget Officer. From the Philippine Sports Commission, we have the Chairman, William Ramirez.
Present.
The Chairman is assisted by the OIC, Office of the Executive Director, Attorney Guillermo Iroy Jr., Director Merlita Ibay, the Deputy Executive Director, Mr. Mark Edward Velasco, the Senior Executive Assistant, Mr. Lauro Domingo, the Chief Planning, Research and Development Division, Ms. Violeta Tuazon, the Chief Budget Division. We also have representatives, Mr. Chairman, from the Commission on Audit, Ms. Marilulia Manzares, the cover representative for PLLO. Ms. Manzares, please respond.
Yes po. Good morning.
For the record.
Yes po. Good morning.
Mr. Charito Macalanda, the cover representative for the Games and Amusement Board.
Present po. Good morning po.
And Mr. Alejandro Villati II, the cover representative for the Philippine Sports Commission.
Good morning, everyone po.
Morning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Comsec, thank you very much. With the indulgence of my dear colleagues, may I just give a very short opening statement. Today, we are going to hear the budgets of three agencies, namely the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office, the Games and Amusements Board, and the Philippine Sports Commission. These are relatively small offices, but with big impact and results. The role of the PLLO is very important in ensuring a harmonious relationship between the executive and the legislative branches. We need the PLLO to tell us what measures need to be tackled, especially now that we have few remaining weeks months before the end of the 18th Congress, and we need the PLLO so that certified measures like the Department of Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos Bill will be passed and signed by the President. As regards to GAB, GAB, and the PSC, let me just say that it is truly an honor to sponsor the budgets of these agencies that have recently been churning out champions and sports heroes at a time that our country needs hope, courage, and inspiration. Pinakita po ng mga medalist natin sa Tokyo Olympics at sa iba't ibang international sporting events kung gaano kahalaga talaga ang sports development sa isang bansa. For God's glory, ako po ay isang former national athlete, and I have seen the power of sports to unify a nation. Kaya nakakagulat po ang mga bali-balitang walang pondong masyadong inilagay sa ating international sporting competitions. I just hope that the budgets of our sports agencies next year will be an instrument to seek, train, and support another Hidilyn Diaz, Nesty Petesio, Yumir Marshall, and Carlo Paalam, who can bring honor and glory to our country in the future. So let us deliberate on the budgets of the PLLO, GAB, and PSC with an open mind and commitment to their mandates and uphold the public's confidence in these institutions. Muli, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. I'll give the floor to our distinguished colleagues if they wanted to give opening statements. Senator Lacson, Senator Go, or Senator Subiri, our majority leader.
Unmute. No opening statement, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Lacson. What about Senator Bongo and Senator Miggs, our majority floor leader?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Ako po ay nandito para suportahan ang budgets nito mga malilit na agencies. Particularly Philippine Sports Commission. Alam niyo naman, partner po tayo dyan kay Chairman Butch Ramirez, one of the best chairpersons that we've had for the PSC. And most successful, most bemedaled, Mr. Chairperson, no? Pagdating po sa SEA Games and the Olympics. And I'm also here to support Budget of Baham, my dear friend from the GAB, who I've known very long, and of course the PLLO, who's been supportive of many of our thrusts in the legislative side of this branch of government. So, yun lamang po. Pero maybe along the way, we'll just make manifestations when you take up the budgets one by one. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. As you are all aware, our Majority Leader has been very active in sports, and I have to tell you, personally, I've seen him walking the extra mile just to ensure that our athletes are in good condition and that they are being taken care of. So thank you very much, Majority Floor Leader. We'll proceed by hearing the presentation of the three agencies. We'll start with the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office. I will give the floor to Secretary Pascual. Ma'am, you're recognized, and thank you for being physically present.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good morning po, Honorable Chairman Villanueva, Honorable Senators, ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po. Your Honors, allow me first to briefly introduce myself. I am Luz Berfeda Baby Pascual, now the Acting Secretary of the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office. I started working with PLO just recently po, February 2021, as Undersecretary of the House of Representatives Outpost. And not long after the untimely demise of our former PLLO Secretary Sitoy, on April 15, I was appointed by the President as the acting head of the agency. Joining me this budget briefing are the officials of PLLO, as mentioned by the Secretariat. Thank you for that. Please allow me also to express my deep appreciation for the Philippine Senate, which has been very supportive and continues to support a number of presidential legislative measures and other significant bills. If the chairperson will allow, I would like to call on Undersecretary Gallardo, our Presidential Legislative Assistant for the Senate, to brief this august body on the proposed 22 budget of the PLLO, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we give the floor to Yusek Gallardo. Sir, you're recognized.
To the Honorable Chairperson of the Committee on Finance, Subcommittee J, Senator Joel Villanueva, Senator Lacson, Senator Sobiri, and Senator Bongo, my fellow workers in government, good morning. On behalf of the PLLO and Secretary Baby Pascual, we would like to present our proposed budget for fiscal year 2022. The total proposed budget of the President Legislative Liaison Office for fiscal year 2022 amounts to 115,120,000 pesos, broken down as follows. For personnel services, it's 64,550,000. For maintenance and other operating expenses, 45,021,000. And for the RLIP, 5,549,000 for a total of 115,120,000.
Thank you.
The relative percentages of the
Can we ask our resource persons, our guests virtually present, to please turn your mute mode while we are talking here, please. Thank you. Please proceed, Yusek Gallardo.
The relative percentages of the above given components to the FY 2022 budget program of PLLO, exclusive of the RLIP, are as follows. 58.91% for personal services, 41.09% for maintenance and other operating expenses, and 0 for capital outlay. Compared to the FY 2021 appropriation, the PLLO's budget estimates for FY 2022 decreased by 3,032,000. The PLLO requested for the total budget of 137,551,000. However, only 115,120,000 was granted, or a decrease of 22,431,000. At the start of the year, the PLLO aggressively and creatively pushed for priority measures of the President. This set of priority legislative measures, which we call the President's Legislative Priorities, or the PLP, consist of legislative measures enunciated by the President in his State of the Nation address, measures certified as urgent by the President, and those measures the PLLO was tasked to shepherd by way of presidential directives. This includes as well the recently approved Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council Common Legislative Agenda, or the LEDAC CLA. To ensure passage of priority measures and the consistency of other measures advancing in Congress, the PLLO monitors the progress and issues related to these bills at every stage of the legislative process. The PLLO continued and strengthened the legislative liaison system, which is an aggregation of all legislative liaison officers from all executive departments and agencies, including government corporations, financial institutions, instrumentalities, and even constitutional commissions. The LLS is tapped by the PLLO not only in building consensus on priority measures within the executive, but also provide technical assistance and addressing the various concerns of legislators. Likewise, the PLLO conducted a dialogue with leadership and members of both chambers of Congress in order to further improve our long-standing collaboration and coordination towards the passage of vital and responsive legislation. In light of the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic that affected our work environment, the PLLO, as steward of the LLS, was determined to continue this effective partnership known as the PLLO-LLS online collaboration system. And these are the following. Number one is the PLLO-LLS group chat on Viber app for notifications, advisory, and immediate exchange of information. Number two is the PLLO-LLS data sharing platform, which is embedded in the PLLO website with necessary security features for regular sharing of information among cluster members. Number three is the PLLO-LLS video teleconferencing using the Zoom application and or the Google Meet for regular cluster meetings, focus group discussions, and small group consultations and coordination. The PLLO also physically engages the public through assistance to LGUs, CSOs, NGOs on their legislative concerns and capacity building to enhance their knowledge of the processes of legislative meal. Actually, we were able to engage physically with the provincial governments like that of Cebu and the regional development councils, like that of Region 7, the PARM, the Cordillera provinces, the PESA locators, and other important stakeholders. The PLLO facilitated requests on various concerns of members of Congress and other stakeholders. The PLLO also assisted in the confirmation of members of the Cabinet, the senior officials of the Department of Foreign Affairs, and AFP senior officials by anticipating issues, concerns of members of the Commission. The PLLO also facilitated the enrollment and ceremonial signing into law of these measures to highlight their importance in the country's fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Further, the PLLO also initiated the ceremonial reenactment of the several local bills like franchises and conversion of colleges and state universities. During the President's last State of the Nation address, he identified the following listed measures for sheep herding in both houses of Congress. Number one is the amendment to the Foreign Investment Act. Number two, amendments to the Public Service Act. Amendments to the Retail Trade Organization Act, the Department of Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos, the E-Governance Act, the Philippine Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Virology Institute of the Philippines, Department of Disaster Resilience, Mandatory Evacuation Centers for LGUs, the BFP Modernization Act, the Unified System of Separation, Retirement, and Pension for Uniformed Personnel, and the Free Legal Assistance for Police and Soldiers. The PLLO will continue to foster the partnership between the executives and legislative towards fulfilling mutual pursuits and put us all on the same track towards a better future for the Filipino people. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yusek Gallardo. With the indulgence of my distinguished colleagues, if you want to ask questions, we can ask questions now, or I wanted to consult with Senator Lacson and Senator Zubiri if they wanted to ask questions. Yeah, okay, Senator Lacson, you have the floor, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
This is your baby agency, Senator Lacson, by the way. Thank you.
I used to sponsor the budget of the PLLO, and I can only say that I always sympathize with their monthly
Yes.
budget year in and year out. Since I was sponsoring the budget of the PLLO. At any rate, I don't mean to be mean, but I have here, a few questions. First, yung kanilang obligation rate as of June 2021, PLLO has obligated only 36.3%, 43.9 million out of the 120.8 million allotment for this fiscal year. Kindly explain, ang liit na ng budget nyo, ang liit pa ng obligation rate ninyo, please.
Please, can we ask Yusek Gallardo, please?
Yeah, actually, ang nangyayari po, because of the several lockdowns, medyo hampered yung operation sa PLLO. Like for example, instead of having meetings, the limit namin sa virtual na lang, which is not really, if physically present ang mga members sana, then we will have a bigger expense because, you have to provide food and everything. But because of these virtual meetings, na-decrease talaga, although in a way it is really good because we have saved some money, pero na-decrease talaga ang expense rate namin. Yan ang problema. There were so many lockdowns, especially ECQ, NCR, MECQ, NCR, GCQ with heightened restrictions. And this was several months back. Hanggang ngayon nga, ang problema nga namin ganoon eh. Our meetings with members of the LLS, for example, puro virtual na lang eh. Hindi na kami not physical present na eh. Yan ang problema namin. That's why our utilization rate, as we may call it, is really much lower.
So you confirm Senator Lacson's statement, yung 36.3%. Yun lang ang what was obligated for this year. As of now, ano ho ba yung latest? Baka lang
That's as of June 2021.
as of September 15, it's 37.84%.
sorry, 37.4 from 36 to 37.
Yes, and the total, actually, the total utilization rate as of September 15 is 46.28%. Wala. Oh,
So right now it's 46.8%.
yes, 28%. Oh. Oo.
Eh, anong gagawin nyo dyan? Anong may catch-up plan ho ba?
Meron kami mga catch-up plan, meron kaming tinatawag na salvo teams nga. We have formed that. And actually, ang nangyayari kasi is that usually the big events are really on the third and fourth quarter of this year. And well, if the pandemic situation will improve, we even plan to have an LLS overall meeting of the legislative liaison system members. Plus, we will also go into this different, what do you call it?
Anyway, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Senator Lacson.
yes, with your low obligation rate, what PAPs are being sacrificed?
What's that? Ano sabi?
Programs, activities, projects, PAPs. Ano yung mga nasakripisyo na hindi nyo na accomplish? Because we always measure budget in terms of accomplishments. And accomplishments can be reflected by way of obligation. How efficiently you obligate the allotments issued to the agency. So ano yung mga nasakripisyo ng mga activities ninyo and projects?
Sige, Secretary Baby.
Good morning po, Senator Lacson, if I may po. Kaya po medyo lumiit po yung budget dahil po dati po talaga pinupuntahan namin. We really go to places physically, and since we were doing a lot of hybrid and Zoom meetings, lumiit po yung budget at nagastos. But we are really planning to have we started again the physical consultative meetings with the beneficiaries of the enacted laws, and doing physical liaisoning po for this next quarter, for the fourth quarter. Wala naman po masyado na compromise sa aming mga activities just because and program, just because lang po yung system was through Zoom and hybrid meetings. Thank you, Your Honor.
I understand. So, it would be acceptable to PLLO to reduce further your budget because as you mentioned, nabawasan talaga yung movements ninyo and you don't need that much budget to accomplish your task. Anyway, you can accomplish the same thing through virtual meetings. That's effectively what you're saying.
Sir, we beg to disagree because if the situation will improve, sir,
Tony, excuse me.
If the-
Ganito. Sabi nyo, nabawasan yung activities ninyo kasi naging virtual. Wala nang physical movement. So, nabawasan yung gastos. Since yung pandemic is here to stay, and we do not know up to when this will end, to misery natin. So, from 120 million, nabawasan, nakakawa nga, naging 115 million. But ang reasoning ninyo, ang reason for not obligating that much do sa allotment ninyo is because nabawasan yung inyong movements. So, hindi nagagamit yung pera. And since nandito pa yung pandemic, hindi rin kayo makakagalaw. So, it's a given that you won't be needing 115 million pesos for the entire year of 2022. Kasi nga, 2022, nandiyan pa rin yung COVID eh. So that's what you're saying. You're not justifying the 150 million. In fact, you're justifying that that should be further reduced because of limited movements or physical movements.
Uh,
Can you
but-
reconcile?
Senator, what if, Your Honor, we believe that this situation will improve within the next few months. So by next year, then we can really go to our usual activities. As of now, the problem really is, yes, it's true, our movements are limited, but what in the few months thereafter, about next year, if this situation will improve, then we can really say that we can now go physically and not only virtually.
Yes, I think Secretary Baby would like to add some more. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Senator Lacson, we already started last month going around the country again. We started with the Cordillera, and we have a lot of activities this third quarter, like the LLS. We will strengthen the LLS, and we will have a lot of activities with that. And now that we're learning to cope up with this situation, we plan to improvise our physical liaisoning and Zoom meetings gradually. So we have a lot of expected activities this last quarter po, as we have a lot of backlog to do. Thank you.
No, I think, if I may, Senator Lacson, with your indulgence, I think Senator Lacson is pointing out, ano yung mga programs ninyo na naapektuhan dahil bumaba yung pondo nyo? Pag ibinaba yung pondo nyo, ano pa yung mga maapektuhan? So sinasabi nyo, maapektuhan yan, yung ginagawa nyo na ngayon. But at the same time, if you look at the data, 46.8% yung obligated as of today. So may kalahati pa. So yun yung kailangan pagtagpiin natin. May magagawa pa ba? Meron ba kayong gagawin na maapektuhan kung babawasan yung budget? I think that's the issue here. Yes, Sec.
May we request our budget officer, Ms. Francis Sagigit, to explain further to the committee.
Okay. Who is it?
Ms. Francis Sagigit, the budget officer.
Okay, Ms. Frances, you're recognized.
Good morning, Senator Villanueva, Chairman. Good morning, the honorable senators. Sir, as regards the question of what PAPs will be affected, sir. Sir, actually, sir, wala pong maapektuhan sa aming PAP. As what you Sec. Gallardo said, we were able, sir, to maintain, sir, the delivery of our commitment, sir. But given we would like to emphasize, sir, that given the situation of this limited movement because of the restrictions, sir, that is the really main reason why we are having this underutilization of the PLO's budget, sir. But based on our accomplishment report, sir, we have been actually it's more than the target, sir. So if we are to ask what will be the programs, activities, and projects that will be affected, sir, wala po, sir, because we were able, sir, to deliver the PLO's commitment to the Filipino people, sir. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Senator Lacson.
In other words, walang epekto yung low obligation rate kasi na-accomplish nyo pa rin yung inyong task, assigned task, di ba? With 46% as of now, obligation rate, wala naman na-sacrifice na activities or programs. That's what you're saying. Don't worry, we'll reduce your budget. We're just trying to clarify. Kasi yun nga.
kakamping si Senator Lacson. That's
Opo.
why he's so worried na baka may nabawasan, nawala na
Opo.
programa na hindi nyo mapatutupad because of the fact na nabawasan yung budget nyo. So, yun yung tinatanong.
Officer, what the budget officer is saying, wala pong nasacrifice na mga activities, mga programs. So even if they have a low obligation rate, wala naman na-sacrifice. So from 115 million, ang logical conclusion is pwedeng bawasan ng kalahati kasi 46% yung obligation rate, pareho pa rin na-accomplish eh. Now, anyway, moving on, Mr. Chairman, I have here a copy of request for quotation dated September 24, 2021. Sinabi rito, please quote your lowest or government price for the following items needed by the PLLO. 82 pieces pulse oximeter, 82 pieces digital thermometer, 82 pieces digital blood pressure monitor, 82 pieces ultrasonic nebulizer. Question, is there any other unit in the Senate that has requisitioned these items? Kasi meron tayong medical clinic eh. Di ba, ang little lang noon Senate, pag may requirements kayo or medical requirements, medical needs, all you have to do is to go to the second floor and see our doctor. So why would you need to requisition medical equipment or medical supplies? I'm just asking. These are, anyway, maliit lang naman yung value nito, but I would just like to be clarified kasi kung merong ibang offices in the Senate na nagre-requisition din ng ganito, why not just centralize it under our medical office or our physician, Senate physician? Kasi lapit lang naman wala namang physical impossibility na magpunta doon. So, saan nyo gagamitin itong mga oximeter, thermometer, blood pressure monitor, nebulizer? Why are you requisitioning?
Yes, before you answer, let me just acknowledge Senator Pia Cayetano's presence virtually. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Please answer.
Thank you for that question, Senator Lacson. Wala po kaming clinic sa mga offices po namin and wala po kaming sariling clinic. Gagamitin po ito ng mga empleyado. As I've said po, talagang we will strengthen po and we will do more physical, pagpunta po sa mga probinsya and some consultation. So, ang offices po namin ay meron po sa Congress, meron sa Senate, meron sa Malacanang, at meron pa po kaming isang opisina para po sa mga empleyado po ito, Your Honor.
So this will be issued to the employees of PLLO.
Opo.
How many employees do you have?
We have now 82 employees, Your Honor.
Okay. So 1:1. Yeah, I won't belabor that point anymore. Also, you're planning to purchase some furniture, office furniture, 12 chairs,
Apo.
one
Yes,
conference table, and then 2 sofa.
Apo.
ilan
Your
ba
Honor,
kayo dito?
Apo. Thank you po, Your Honor. Yung pong opisina namin sa Malacanang, sa NEPO, yung executive building, is up for retrofitting and we were asked to rent a place, to transfer to a place. So, habang ginagawa po yun and we don't have our own sofa and some tables and chairs po.
Okay, that
Thank you po.
explains why you need these furniture items.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, sige, Mr. Chairman, yun lang naman. Tapos may mga pala, ang lit na budget nyo, may na-plug pa kayo ng COA 2020. This not during your time, but, ito, for 2020, COA flagged the agency for its 492,634 pesos worth of supplies and materials issued to requisitioners and end users that were not recognized in the books of accounts as these were not reported in the report of supplies and materials issued RSMI. Yeah. Kindly explain, if you know.
It was before the time of Secretary Pascual, so maybe if we can ask Yusek Gallardo to respond. what is your comment with this COA
Have you
findings?
settled this with, have you settled this with COA? Na-resolve na ito?
Can you turn on your microphone, please? Yes.
Your Honor, is this about the disposal of depreciated unserviceable property?
No.
Because we have committed that by December 31,
So is it resolved already?
actually we have been disposing them, and then some of them have not yet been disposed, and we will dispose them on or before by December. That's what we assured the COA about this.
Yeah, please do. Another issue, no? Unsubmitted disbursements vouchers. The non-submission to the auditor's office of the 76 disbursement vouchers for the month of December 2020, totaling 17,550,475 pesos and 37 centavos, or 18.35% of the total expenses for the year. So kindly settle this with COA.
Your Honor, yeah, we will do po. We already submitted that also last February 2021.
All right. Sige. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
Lacson, and rest assured po, Senator Lacson, I'm also being criticized now on being talaga po, rest assured that under my watch po, tititigan ko po talaga from single cent to I'm so responsible on this po, and rest assured po that we will really shepherd the budget and the Filipinos money po. Salamat po na marami.
Thank you. Thank you, baby. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Ping Lacson, who had been shepherding the budget of PLLO for quite some time. Thank you very much for your intervention.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I would like also to thank the good Senator Lacson, for approving last year the provision po for vehicles for PLLO. Salamat po ulit, Mr. Lacson. Salamat po.
Na-purchase nyo na lahat yung vehicles?
Apo, na-purchase na po, kaka-purchase na po. Salamat po na marami.
Obligated na lahat. Thank you.
That's why Senator Ping hindi naapektuhan daw yung VIPs nila because of that.
Kaya marami po talaga kaming activities this October. Ni-line up ko po talaga ang mga activities namin, lalo po ngayong magre-recess. Nakiusap po ako talaga sa mga empleyado ng PLLO na talaga pong gagawin po namin lahat na makakaya namin for everything that na kailangan po namin gawin, and we really see to it po na yung mga pinagpaguran po ng ating mga legislators are really nalalaman po ng ating mga kababayan. Salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you. We have with us Senator Bongo joining us, sir. You're recognized if you want to.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please. Thank you.
distinguished colleagues and all our guests from various government agencies, a short manifestation lang po. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. I would like to express my full support to the proposed budgets of the three agencies that are here with us today: the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office, the Games and Amusement Board, and the Philippine Sports Commission. Unang-una, suportado ko po ang PLLO dahil sa kanilang kontribusyon sa pag-coordinate at pag-unify ng Ehekutibo at Kongreso sa pagpasa ng iba't ibang importanteng batas na nais isulong ng administrasyon ni Pangulong Duterte. The PLLO is vital in promoting the presidential legislative initiatives, policy reforms, and development programs by tirelessly working with Congress in making these matters a reality. Pangalawa, suportado ko rin po ang pagbigay ng kaukulang budget sa PSC at GAB as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Sports, and as a passionate advocate for sports development in the country. I believe that investing in sports will not only allow our country to develop more world-class athletes who can bring pride, honor, and medals to our country, but will also help us in keeping our youth away from illegal drugs and other harmful vices. Sa katunayan, ito po ang aking hangad nung isinulong ko ang Republic Act number 11470 upang buksan ang National Academy for Sports sa New Clark City para sa mga kabataang atleta at meron na hong mga nag-enroll ngayong school year na ito sa tulong na rin po ni Senator Pia Cayetano na mapabilis at mabuksan rin po kaagad ngayong taong ito, itong National Academy for Sports. Mr. Chair, let me point out that the PSC and GAB needs budgetary support from us now more than ever, as they are finding it difficult to keep our sports program afloat during the COVID-19 pandemic. During the deliberation of last year's budget, I advocated for the inclusion of 100 million, which was later on increased to 250 million. This was necessary to support our athletes' preparations for the Olympics and other international events. Similarly, I also supported the allocation of an additional 7.945 million budget for Paralympics preparations. Nagpapasalamat po tayo sa mga kasama natin sa suporta para sa mga ito. Aside the budget deliberation, outside the budget deliberations, I also sought assistance from the private sectors to help finance the training of our promising athletes. Bukod po dito, tumulong din po ako sa pag-apela sa ating gobyerno na maisama po ang ating mga Olympians sa COVID-19 vaccine priority list ng panahong konti pa lang po ang ating bakuna upang maging ligtas sila sa pag-iensayo at pakipaglahok sa Tokyo Olympics. Mr. Chair, nagbunga naman po ang maganda nating pagbibigay ng sapat na budget sa ating mga atleta. For the first time ever, nagkaroon po tayo ng kauna-unahang gold medal kasama po ang 2 silver medals at 1 bronze medal. Napakalaking karangalan po ito para sa ating bansa. Through our efforts, the Philippines became the top performing country in Southeast Asia in the recent Tokyo Olympics. Kaya naman po, inihimok ko ang ating mga kasamahan na suportahan ang budget ng PSC at GAB para tuloy-tuloy lang po ang sports development sa ating bansa. For these reasons, I have no objections to the proposed budget at kung pwede pa pong dagdagan ay dagdagan pa po natin. Ako po ay natutuwa dahil nagagamit ng husto ang pondong pinagkaloob sa ating mga ahensya noong nakaraang taon despite the limited budgetary resources. This year, I am sure that our agencies will likewise utilize the budget prudently and wisely for the benefit of our nation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Bongo, a known avid supporter of sports, of GAB, PSC, and the PLLO. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Let's have Senator Pia Cayetano. Sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear you and I didn't see you raising your hand. I'm sorry. I apologize. I couldn't see everyone from here. Senator Pia Cayetano, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Kasi I was speaking a while ago, but I think maybe the audio wasn't good. So anyway, you can hear me with that. I'm good to continue.
Yes, please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I wanted to intervene. Actually, I was trying to get your attention also when Senator Lacson had the floor. But in any case, my intervention is very simple. I noticed that the situation with PLLO is very similar to the situation in many other agencies, either decrease or no MOOE. And the explanation that was given was that during COVID, we have a lot of alternative modes of doing our work through Zoom, etc. No, I overheard that earlier, and that is accurate. But as I said in a briefing I've had already with DepEd and CHED, and obviously this would interest our chairman, no, because we work together with these agencies. We're talking about 2022 budget, and it is not correct for us to assume that things will be exactly the same. All over the world, people are getting vaccinated more and more, and countries that have been more aggressively vaccinating have opened up in many ways that we can only dream of for now. No, that's obvious to all of us. Just watch the news, and in some parts of the US, not that it is safer when they take off their mask. Obviously, it is not. But life has pretty much gone back to closer to normal. And when I see all of this MOOE budget slash, and the reason being hindi naman magre-resume yung klase. And I'm making I'm emphasizing that because His Honor and I are both very much involved in the education sector, no? But that's why I'm taking this up with PLLO, because I'm sure our secretary would like to know these things also. Parang the reason that that's happening is because of COVID, and so it assumes that wow, next year ganito pa rin tayo, because the budget is for next year. The budget reflects our expectations for next year. So when I also hear coming from PLLO that a lot of our meetings are by Zoom and everything, then it sort of disturbs me because I'm hearing it again and again in all the government agencies. So I'm taking this up now because well, of course, I expect a lot from PLLO. I know that the Malacanang has their ear na paratingin nyo na we need to try to normalize, put in all the safeguards, but assume that we can get close to normal as possible. And kung ano yung mga activities nyo na nagagawa nyo face-to-face, we try to target that. We will not be able to do it. Kung dati, let's say, ang napupuntahan yung lugar is 100 destinations in 3 months. Baka ngayon 50 lang. Pero may budget ka pa rin dapat to be able to do that. So anyway, at the right time, Your Honor, I will tell you how this is also becoming manifest in our education sector, no? Na walang sense of as you know, na-slash lahat. And I want PLLO to know this because kailangan paratingin nyo to sa Malacanang. Na-slash ng halos lahat ng budget ng SUCs. Sabi ko kasi parang wala kasi kayong pinaparating na nagbabala kayong mag face-to-face in a safe way, in a limited way. So ang thinking ng mga tao, wag nang bigyan ng kuryente yan, hindi naman magkaklase yan eh. O hindi naman yan kailangan bigyan ng pambayad ng tubig dahil wala namang papasok. O di ba? Paano tayo aasenso niyan if our very agencies have that way of thinking? So that's what I wanted to say, Mr. President, and I'll keep repeating it every time I hear it from the agencies. Diba? You must fight for your budget. You must show that because you are vaccinated, you have protocols in place to allow you to do your job and to go out. And I won't go into details. That's it, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, on PLLO, no? I trust naman Secretary Baby knows how I feel about this. And then just a very brief statement on PSC. I hope I'll be able to stay when you take up their budget later on. But just a very brief statement. In a way, PSC has been doing what I want them to do, which is tuloy-tuloy silang nagko-compete internationally to the extent that they have support. So I'm so proud to say that one of my alagas, my daughter's teammates in the UP football team who lives with me, made it to the national team. And they were in Uzbekistan for almost 2 weeks, no? So this was all done safely. And now they're quarantined before she can go back home here. She lives with us. So yung mga ganon, nababudget dapat yan. Now I'll take that up at the proper time. PSC's budget. Pero the same thing should apply to all other agencies. Assume that you can do your job. Assume that you can travel safely. Assume that you can have meetings in manners that are safe for people. Otherwise, if we cannot set that example for the rest of the country, then we will really be left behind. So that's it, Mr. Chairman, for my intervention, and I'll try to stay on for PSC later on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Pia Cayetano. Very, very important points coming from the chairperson of Sustainable Development and Futures Thinking Committee of the Senate. Thank you very much. We have with us our Majority Floor Leader, Senator Mig Subiri.
Yes, thank you,
Yes,
Chairman. This is perfect. I think a perfect and opportune time to discuss the priorities of our PLLO, particularly on the legislative agenda. Among the list, Yusek Gallardo is there, I believe, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, he's physically present, Your Honor. Physically present, yes.
And we'd like to, Sec Baby also is there, I believe. We just like to revisit the list that they presented. Among the list that they presented, we passed several already, Mr. Chairman. I think can we ask them to flash the screen again, Mr. Chairman, with the list of priority?
Can we flash the list again on the screen?
Tama, because Chairman, our Chairman
Yes.
of the Subcommittee in Health is here. Senator Pia is with us. And I think some of the measures that they mentioned are under Senator Cayetano's subcommittee. We also want to see the practicality of the time limit that we have left para they know if we can pass it or not at this point in time. But looking at the list, Mr. Chair, definitely the first number one, we've done that already. We're already in BICAM. Hopefully we'll ratify the BICAM this week. Tapos na yan. Yung amendments.
1, 2, 3, yes.
Yes, yung number two, we will try our best this week. I know we're going to propose amendments today on the Public Services Act. Pero I'm not sure if we can finish the contentious issues by this week. At least FYI lang sa ating PLLO. But we will be amending not the non-contentious issues today, Mr. Chairman. That's what I was told. But I can give the feedback as well to the PLLO. On the third one, tapos na po yan. We already adopted the Retail Trade Liberalization Act BICAM report. So that's for signature of the President. So among the three fiscal reform measures or the incentives bills of the DOF, 2 out of 3 not so bad, Mr. Chairman. 2 out of 3 not so bad. We have the third one, hopefully PSA. If we do not finish it this week, then definitely tapos na yan by December when we get back. November.
Number 4 daw is more important, Majority Leader.
Yes, I was about to go there on the number 4. Number 4, the pet bill of our chairman, Senator Joel. Alam mo naman, talagang siya naghihirap nito. Sumasagot sa lahat ng katanungan ng ating mga kababayan at mga kapatid sa Senado. And as you know, Chairman, we are prioritizing this every day. It is on the agenda. And isa na lang po ang naiiwan to interpolate si Senator, of course, our minority floor leader, Senator Franklin M. Drilon. Hopefully we can get that through as well as soon as possible time. Yung e-governance act lang to the PLLO, I was asked by Secretary Mon Lopez to co-sponsor it, which I am more than willing to do so. I just need to know which committee is handling that. Would they know? Is it under the committee of Senator Coco, is it in the committee of Trade and Commerce?
It's under Senator Binay. Senator Binay.
Yung e-governance, because of the, yung science and technology.
Yes,
Okay. We will try to co-sponsor that as well. I know that's very important. That's a very important measure. So, priority din natin yan, Secretary Yusek Gallardo, Secretary Baby. Yung Philippine Center for Disease Control Prevention and Virology Institute of the Philippines, I'm not sure if these are both with Senator Cayetano, but of course, these are our priorities also. But hindi na matatakal yan in this week. Balik na siguro po natin yan November, December. The Department of Disaster Resilience, to be very honest about it, I have colleagues who just want to limit a new department to the Migrant Workers and Filipinos Act. So we may have to take this up in the next Congress, but we will see. We will see how far we can take it, because the chairperson of that particular bill is also Senator Lacson, and if I'm not mistaken, he's not proposing a department; he's proposing a commission, if I'm not mistaken, or a smaller agency. So we have to discuss it with the chairperson on that particular issue. Yung mandatory evacuation centers, yung BFP, tapos na po. Tapos na yung BFP. Yung Unified System of Separation and Retirement for Uniformed Personnel, I believe Senator Lacson is also neck deep into discussions with the DOF and the DND as well as the other armed services on this issue. Lalabas daw niya yung committee report, hopefully before the break. Kung hindi, pagbalik natin. Pero that is a very important measure as well. Yung free legal assistance for police and soldiers, ginagawa din na yata nila yung committee report. So yung maantala siguro dyan, Secretary, ang Department of Disaster Resilience, itong mandatory evacuation centers for LGUs, I'm not sure about where that is now. And the others, I think we can still do it. If we can make seeing it dun sa budget hearings on November and December, at papayagan po tayo ni Senator Angara, ating chair ng Committee on Finance, para mailusot ito. Just FYI, no, FYI to all the members of the PLLO. But at least we've already passed several. We're in the midst of passing, we've passed, let me repeat, the Foreign Investments Act, the Retail Trade Liberalization Act, the BFP Modernization Act. We're about to, we'll also pass the Public Services Act, and the others are in the pipeline. So I think we can comply with maybe 80% of the request of the executive on the passage of these key bills. Just for the information of everyone listening in, Chairman, para at least alam din po nila. Particularly Department of Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipinos. Priority po natin yan. FYI lang. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I thought you will end by moving to...
Yes. There are no other members, Mr. Chairman. If there are no other members...
I'm sorry. I just saw Senator Tolentino raising his hand. Let me acknowledge our good friend, the distinguished gentleman from Cavite, Senator Francis Tolentino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick question. It's something to do with the Philippine Sports Commission.
We have yet to tackle PSC, Your Honor. We are still tackling PLLO. So if you don't mind, the majority leader is about to move, make a motion. If we can.
Majority floor leader.
Okay, majority leader, please. You are on mute, majority leader. Kindly. There, we can hear you now, majority leader, please.
Sorry, I lost the screen. I pressed something and then nawala yung screen. Anyway, yes, I move, Mr. Chairman, that the budget of the PLLO, the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office, be deemed submitted to plenary. Maraming salamat po sa PLLO. And I must state for the record, Mr. Chairman, they're a very active PLLO, especially now. And,
it's a different PLLO, yeah.
We appreciate
I would agree. Same motion, duly seconded by Senator Tolentino. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is carried. Thank you, Secretary Pascual, Yusek Gallardo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving forward, we'll tackle the budget of the Games and Amusement Board. We have with us our good friend, former governor, former congressman, Ambassador Baham Mitra. Thank you, sir, for joining us. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, our idols, and to the distinguished members of the Committee on Appropriations and our co-guests this morning, this noontime. We are from the Games and Amusements Board, and our mandate is to regulate and supervise professional sports and allied activities. And after the declaration of the pandemic last year, the Games and Amusements Board sat with the Philippine Sports Commission and the Department of Health to craft a joint admin order in order for sports to resume. And we're very happy to report that the GAB has gotten the group has gotten the approval of the IATF for professional sports to resume. So currently, under the jurisdiction of GAB, it's basketball, football, volleyball, several other new leagues, basketball leagues have come in. The Vismin Cup, Chooks to Go 3-on-3, Women's National Basketball League, National Basketball League. Volleyball has turned professional, and of course, chess and esports, of course, no? And several others. Of course, there have not been any cycling activities and motocross activities as of this time. So we move on. Of course, boxing and mixed martial arts also under the Games and Amusements Board. The horse racing aspect, the betting aspect of horse racing is also under the Games and Amusements Board. And we also have an anti-illegal gambling unit created under Administrative Order 262 and 222. And our personnel services, our total budget is 146 million. It is budget proposal as per the NEP is 146 million. It was only 142 million last year, but luckily our then chairman and of course supporter of the Games and Amusements Board budget increased it to 182 million. And several programs have been funded, no, outside of the proposal. So currently, out of the 146 million, 91 million is for personal services, and 55 for the MOE, and only 70,000 for the capital outlay. So Commissioner Ed Trinidad is also present here, together with Ofi and Sir Romel and our budget officer, Ma'am Jo. The PS requirement for 143 field up positions is 87 million. Salary and compensation for non-permanent positions, 1.9. Of course, hazard pay is about half a million pesos. Loyalty award, 145. Terminal leave, 749. Overtime pay, 190,000. The ICT consultancy for GAB Boxing Records projects, 2.3 million. ICT equipment, document scanner, 70,000. So recurring MOE, 43,000. Special account in general fund is 9.5. As to the question of Senator Ping Lacson to the PLLO in relation to GAB's budget, it's 42%, and the utilization as of August 31 is 42%. Why? Because we will be having our professional sports summit, which is amounting to 15 million on Wednesday. So very big chunk, no, will be implemented on Wednesday. The repair of GAB office took a while and will be implemented in probably in October, and that is well because of the stringent bidding process that was followed. 5.9 million compensation based HR 1.2 and 1.7 for consultancy services. Kaya medyo yun po ang naka-schedule talaga later part of the year. Kaya medyo 42% pa lang. So again, we'd like to thank our sponsor last year, Senator Bongo, who increased the budget from 140 to 182. But presently, the budget of GAB last year's to this year is 140, and our proposal next year is 146. Yes, also 15 million was allocated for transportation expenses, which we did not use. And thank you, Senator Atepia. We expect to use that budget more next year, and hoping that we can comply with our international commitments, not just virtually but physically. So that's about it. We issued licenses and permits to the different licensees. We're happy that the esports community is now being regulated and growing. The online chess professional community has not stopped. And again, with very close cooperation with the Philippine Sports Commission and the Department of Health, a joint admin order was crafted, and supplemental was already done. So this is for the conduct of health enhancing physical activities and sports during the COVID-19 pandemic. We've spent a lot of hours with the PSC and the DOH. Initially, it was the DOH and the PSC. And then when we presented June last year to the IATF, we were asked to sit down with them. Of course, then we sat down with the representative of Chairman Butch, Sir Mark Velasco, and we've come out with a joint admin order. And several leagues have already played. Bismin Cup was played in Cebu and in Pagadian, and the PBA has resumed in the province of Pampanga. As to the accomplishments, uh, we've supported the boxers through the support of the DSWD, first Senator Bongo, and other private individuals who wanted to help because of the pandemic. We meet with them, with the different stakeholders every week. Different, no? Minsan basketball players, minsan volleyball players, minsan football players, basketball players, iba-iba, chess, no? So we also have a press conference to inform monthly to inform everybody what's happening with the GAP. Of course, we continued the PSC GAP DOH Joint Admin Order, the renewal of the GAP DOH MOA, which provides free medical services, and we're very happy that we received an award from the World Boxing Council because the Philippines is the only country that provides free medical check-ups before you get license. So because of the additional budget that was provided last year or this year, now there is an additional safety measure, the hematoma machine. Every after fights, right away there's a hematoma machine that is well provided.
I'm sorry, Chairman Baham, we can't hear you right now here in the session hall. And we fix the
Okay.
there, we can hear you now.
Yun na po muna. Yung Premier Volleyball League was played in Isabela, in Ilocos, and we were also able to visit them and talk to them and assist them in our own way. Visited the gyms. We're very happy to get the COA rating, high rating from the COA, present also here today for OP attached agencies, and some recognition from the Civil Service Commission, which we value very much. So we also met with the IATF several times, as well as the CHED and of course the PSC, our partner agencies. Okay, thank you very much. I was already advised that I have taken almost 7 minutes. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No worries. We are here to hear your presentation. Thank you very much, Chairman Baham. A certified sports aficionado, and I can personally attest that he is a very good basketball player. I would have to tell
Thank you very much.
everyone here. Thank you very much, Chairman Mitra. Before I ask some questions, I will allow my colleagues to ask questions if they have any questions, comments, interventions. Senator Tolentino, Senator Cayetano,
Sir
Senator
President.
Pia, Senator Pia Cayetano, you're recognized.
Oh yeah. Just very briefly, no. Similar comment on the decrease in the MOOE. I think GAB has been in the forefront on the safe return of sports, and I do appreciate that the country recognizes that sports is part of the Filipino life, no, and by allowing the professionals to return to safe sports, it sets the right tone and the right direction. So the budget is very small. I would support Mr. Chairman through your initiative the increase in that budget so that they can really go around, because sadly the reality now is that we really cannot open up sports, especially contact sports, to all. Okay, so that's the limitation. So in my earlier example about my dismay in people being less than aggressive in trying to open up, we also have to acknowledge the limitations. And this is the perfect example. There are sports under GAB that can open up safely, like the bubble of volleyball. Perfect yan. And other means. Pero yung more contact and less regulated, medyo mahirap pa yan. So that's why the more we have to support this so that it really distinguishes and may ma-idolize pa rin yung mga bata, di ba? Yung mga idol nilang basketball player, volleyball player. His Honor mentioned to me before and just kindly react later, no, that other sports were also recognized as professional sports, no, under his term in the last year or last 2 years. Ano lang, just spread it into the record, no, but yun nga, volleyball is one of them. And then triathlon, my sport, no, and triathlon is not a contact sport, so there may be ways that could be safely reintroduced, no, like, well, pag nagsiksikan kami sa dagat, possibly malapit yan sa isa't isa. But again, just to share with everyone, there are ways that you can say every 10 seconds ang labas ng tao, every 20 seconds, di ba? So nasa-spread out mo yung mga swimmers, no? You spread them out and so hindi sila dikit-dikit. So there's ways of going about it. I'm just using it as an example because it's a sports that I know. So yun, so I just support the budget of GAB and for us to increase their MOA, their ability to go around, because they need to go around and see what's happening. I am saddened that when in the few places I've been, and I'm sure nakikita niyo po ito sa Bulacan, sa mga rural areas, nandiyan pa rin yung mga pick-up games. And I feel so bad because I know nga in the heart of every Filipino, they want to play. But it's really dangerous that they play right now, diba? So we have to find safe ways for them to enjoy that sport. And if for now it's by watching, then so be it. And then later on sa PSE and of course in our discussions with DepEd and CHED, we can also discuss more ways on how we can get the Filipinos more active and into the sports that they love. But for the purpose of GAB, let's allow them to do their job by helping them with the budget. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Pia. Other than Senator Manny, she's the most fit dito sa Senado. And thank you for your very insightful reminders. If the chair, Chairman Baham would like to respond quickly.
Thank you very much, as always, Ate Pia. Thank you very much, Senator Pia, for helping us out. Yes, we agree that finally we're very happy that volleyball has turned professional, and that bubble in Ilocos was successful. However, they are very careful and would not play anymore this year, and they've scheduled their next conference in February, very early February. So the Premier Volleyball League will be playing again next year. Thank you very much. Yes, we will be going around. Salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would just like to spread into the records that I have been attending their sports summit, I think, for 2 years in a row. And the third one will be this Wednesday. And you made mention, Chairman, yung 42% nandyan na. Pagkatapos ng sports summit on Wednesday, which I think you would spend about 15 million, which is a big chunk of your budget. Meron na ba kayong idea or ballpark figure as to the percentage of your utilization after Wednesday?
I think it will jump up to about 65%, more or less.
Okay.
Because we will not be able to utilize the 15 million budget
Yes.
whole, because in the virtual din po kasi, unlike before when everybody was there in the PICC.
Thank you, Chairman Mitra. Before I call my other colleagues who might have some questions, I remember someone telling me that there's a need for a ambulance, medical equipment in the Games and Amusement Board budget. Kasama ho ba ito this year at ilan po ito?
Meron po kaming request na 7.5 million pesos for
So it's not in the budget right now in the NEP.
It's not in the budget. No, it's not in the budget. This will also help the promoters because they have to spend money to hire ambulances to be on standby in the actual events. Why three? Because we operate in three major, of course, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So isa po ilalagay sa Cebu, yung isa ilalagay sa Mindanao. Kung saan may promotions or may events, meron na kagad sana naka-standby doon. It's just a request, Mr. Chairman, Your Honors.
Yes, and I think it is important. Thank you, Chairman Mitra. Senator Subiri, Senator Tolentino, are any?
Actually, the budget of the GAB is so large. No, kidding aside. Ang liit ng budget ng GAB.
Oo nga po eh.
Baka chairman,
They couldn't even pay their own ambulance, Majority Leader. Ambulance.
Oo nga, tama, I join Senator Pia Cayetano in pushing for a larger budget for the GAB. If we can search from which agency we can pull out some more funds to assist our chairperson, Chairman Bam, with mobility and whatever other budget that they need. I know sometimes it's a very, I'd say, a very low profile department or low profile office, but it's a very important office nevertheless. And I agree with Senator Pia, we should increase the budget. So whatever amendments you make, Chairman, we will support you on the floor for the increase of budget of Chairman Bam.
Thank you very much. Your Honor.
I'll move also for the approval of the budget. But before Senator Tolentino.
Yes, let's hear Senator Tolentino.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman. I likewise join the majority leader in seeking the increase of the budgetary allocation for the Games and Amusement Board. They have done a lot, especially during the midst of the pandemic. I've heard something about the Vismin Cup, although initially embroiled in some controversy, but they were able to finish that. I hope they will be at the forefront in restoring normalcy. The GAB, I'm referring to the GAB. But just one policy question addressed to Chairman Mitra.
Yes.
That there are several groups now waiting to secure the quote-unquote green light to resume competition. And I'm not just referring to the NCAA or UAP, but even in my hometown, there is supposed to be a field basket bubble tournament involving 300 former professional players, referees, etc., etc. Are you aware of this? And who is the focal person insofar as providing the imprimatur or the gloss signal in allowing these competitions to proceed?
Thank you very much, Your Honors, Mr. Chairman. The Field Basketball Cup is proposing to hold their tournament in Splendido in Batangas, and they have approached the interagency task force. However, the joint admin order of the DOH, the PSA, and the GAB states that only professional sports and national trainings shall be allowed. This is the policy direction of the DOH to the IATF and to the JAO. So if the IATF will change their policy direction, then we shall abide. We do not make the policies; we just implement. So we are in support of games to resume because it is really livelihood. However, Mr. Chairman, Your Honors, we have a joint resolution with the Philippine Sports Commission, um, um, listing down making sure that what league, if a league is professional, then they should turn professional. If they earn salaries and they draw revenues from what they're doing, if they are being paid to play and not play for the flag, then they should turn professional. And then they do not have to go to the IATF, and they can already be approved under the joint admin order. So I don't know. Maybe they should be asked to turn professional because they're saying it's livelihood. So wala po kaming problema basta mag-professional. Sumusunod lang po kami dun sa IATF. And we are in favor of the resumption of sports during the pandemic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no further questions. And just to correct it, the billeting would be within Esplendido, but the actual games competitions would be in Soto Grande in Tagaytay. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman.
Opo.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Pia? Yes, Senator Pia Cayetano is recognized.
Follow up to the question of the gentleman from Cavite. I've had conversations with Chairman Mitra. Obviously, we've worked together for quite some time, and he knows how I feel about this. So I just want to make it public. That DOH is the partner of GAB when it comes to giving the go signal in the holding of particular professional games, diba? Because the competence of GAB is not in the health regulation and the safety aspect of holding those games. And so a number of times I pointed out concerns to Chairman Mitra, and both of us are not doctors, both of us are not epidemiologists or infectious disease experts. No, we both just read the paper. So I told him that it should be DOH as your partner who should be accountable for this. If they give you the go signal, then by all means proceed. Kasi tayong mga sports supporters, we want it to proceed. But all I ask is that DOH does their part of the job in analyzing that. So I have a bit of problems, as you know, Chairman Mitra, I have concerns if there will be a proliferation of even called professional games, diba? Because I want to be sure that they are given the clearance by DOH. So please just be sure that that process is respected, because even if they'll be given the cloak of professionalism, but DOH doesn't have an active role in ensuring that those athletes, and I'm assuming that these sports will be contact sports. Basketball is a contact sport. So I want to be very careful about this, because not for anything to the gentleman in Cavite, but these people will go home, diba, to their families, they'll go home to their communities. And again, I'll give an example. My example is not yung binanggit ko kanina na yung adopted daughter ko who lives with me, teammates ng daughters ko who made it to the Philippine team and played in Uzbekistan the last 2 weeks. Nag-message siya sa amin na masakit na nga yung ilong niya kasi mayat-maya talaga testing. Obviously, bago umalis dito, nag-test. Pagdating doon, nag-test. Bago maglaro, test. Pagkatapos ng laro, test. So if we will have that kind of guarantees there, and I also have friends who've traveled. I've not traveled. I've not had the opportunity to travel out of the country. There are some countries na ganun pala talaga. Test. So if we can do that, then well and good. So yun lang naman. That's just my little contribution to the discussion, because I also support, but I want Chairman Mitra to be able to bank on our support and know that we are expecting DOH to do their job in helping you get professional sports up and running. Yun lang.
Thank you, Senator Pia. Yes, Chairman Baham, please.
Thank you very much, Senator Pias, Mr. Chairman. We are working very closely with the DOH and of course the PSC in the implementation of the joint admin order. The policy question there is DOH only approved professional and national training. Now, if they are not professional and if they are not training in the international, they're professional and they're not training for the national team, then they will not be under the PSC and not under the GAP. So who will they be working with? Of course, it's the DOH and the local government. So I'm not too sure if yung competency nung lahat, maraming magagaling na LGUs, pero baka merong iba na hindi pa masyadong aware dun sa intricate health and safety protocols that Senator Pia was talking about. So we don't want sports to be the super spreader, and one accident in one sport will have an effect on all the other sports. Anyway, thank you very much, Your Honors, Senator Pia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Baham. Before we let you go, I think just one quick question on the crackdown on illegal gambling. May we know the status of this particular program of the Games and Amusement Board? Perhaps if you can give us a brief update on this particular program. How many illegal gambling in professional sports and amusements were caught, or ano ho yung status? Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. During the pandemic, if you remember, the president was so upset when he found out about people gambling, doing topadas, no, illegal cockfighting. First, it's money from the SAP. Second is it's a violation of social distancing. Nagkukumpul-kumpul sila. So nagagalit ang presidente, binibigyan na nga ng ayuda, sinusugal pa. So the GAB has been very active in trying to stop tupadas. No, we have not just done it in Metro Manila, but there have been may mga huli sa Antipolo, may mga huli sa Batangas, may mga, and the cases have been filed. No, and in 2017 there were 43, 2008 about anim lang nung time na yon, and then 44 2019, and sa ngayon po meron na pong mga anim na nahuli. Yung illegal OTV ang marami. Yung mga bookies po ng karera ng kabayo, yun po ang maraming nahuli ng anti-illegal gambling unit ng GAB. And kahit po wala kaming police na nakadetail sa amin, we just coordinate with the police. No? The initial is when we coordinate with them, when we get to the area, medyo na wala na po. So what we do is naghihiwalay because of the vehicles that were given to us through some budget assistance from the Senate and the House. Pag punta sa area, sabay na rin yung punta sa coordinate sa PNP, kaya may mga nahuhuli. So the GAB is doing its share in policing the anti-illegal gambling activities in horse racing, and then of course yung mga tupada sa cockfighting. And parang nililimit po kami doon po sa mga areas na sakop lang namin. So in the past, parang meron din yatang mga operations on yung mga STL, yung mga anti-waiting. Wala po kaming ganun ngayon kasi limited lang po kami doon sa scope namin na sa mandate namin.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. One last point. I just remember you and I are both disgusted when we found out about that yung video. I forgot what it's called. Yung liga ng basketball na halatang-halata na hindi isushoot, libreng-libre, etc. Is there an update? I think you filed cases na ba, or what's the update there?
Thank you very much for reminding me about that. I think that was what Senator Tolentino was talking about. During the pandemic, there was a league that came up. It's the Vismin Cup, and it's a game between Sikihor, Mystics, and Lapu-Lapu, wherein yung free throw, ginamit na lang yung kaliwa, and then there was an investigation that was done. The Lapu-Lapu team, they were very remorseful. They were sorry. They were disappointed the way. I think the chairman understands that you're very competitive. When your opponent is not competitive and is not guarding you, then you will mawawala ka ng gana. So ganun po nangyari sa Lapu-Lapu team, no? Nainis sila, and then ayaw nilang maging kasangkapan ng dayaan, ng game fixing. While the other team, yung Sikihor naman, when they were asked and our people talked to them, they were not even remorseful. They were not even sorry, and talagang tahimik lang sila. So parang sanay-sanay. So yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity to report to you that yes, we are doing something about it, and we're going to file cases against them. We are at the last stage of preparation in the filing. We have to take some time to get their side. Kailangan kasi due process and gobyerno tayo, kailangan marinig natin yung side nila. But in time, I think that there will be, I predict that there will be cases that will be filed, and the licenses may be revoked, and they will not be able to play in any professional league.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I mean, when I saw the video, I was disgusted and imagine my disappointment as a basketball player, just like you, Mr. Chairman. And I know for a fact that you're going to do something. It's very challenging because you need to gather pieces of evidence that would ensure and you know, although if you look at the video, even if you are not a professional basketball player, just a fan of the sport, you can easily figure out that something is really wrong. So thank you for that, and we look forward to the filing of cases, and this representation would support you in any way I can. Thank you very much. We have any other member of the Senate who wish to ask questions or make a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, but before we make the motion to approve the budget, yeah, we support the initiatives of Senator Pia, Senator Francis, and the chairperson earlier on the games, particularly on basketball. I think we're losing a lot of our players now to Japan, no? The league in Japan, the Japan League. So the D League, they're all moving to Japan, our top players, because I guess there's no more income to be made in the Philippines, so they're all leaving, unfortunately. So yeah, the sooner we can get the PBA and the other games back on track, the better. With that, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the budget of Games and Amusement Board with amendments, hopefully, no, for an increase of the budget, Mr. Chairman, and refer this to the plenary. Thank you.
Yes, there is a motion duly seconded by Senator Tolentino. And is there any objection to the motion of the Majority Leader? The chair hears none. The motion is carried. Thank you, Chairman Mitra, Commissioner Trinidad, and the rest of the GAP family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Senator Subiri, Senator Tolentino, Senator Pia, Senator Lacson, and Senator Bongo. Sa inyong lahat, maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman, especially to you. Thank you very much. Magandang umaga. Magandang tanghali po.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman Baham Mitra. We'll proceed now with our last item of the day for the budget of Philippine Sports Commission. We have with us here present, physically present, the Chief Accountant of PSC, Mr. Yes. Chairman Mitra, we can still hear you. Okay. We have with us the Chief Accountant of PSC, physically present, Mr. Eric Jean Mayores. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And virtually present is our Philippine Sports Commission Chairperson, Chairman William Ramirez. Sir, you're recognized, sir. We can't hear you, sir. You're in mute mode.
Okay.
Please,
Sorry.
there you go.
Sorry.
Now I can hear you. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Senator Villanueva, Majority Floor Leader, Senator Subiri, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Tolentino, and other senators in attendance. I am in my barong and I finished my PCR test. I'm supposed to be joining my accountant there at the Senate, but I went to the office just to open up the presentation in my respect to the Senate budgetary hearing. I have with me my executive director, budget official, and others. My apology, Mr. Chair, that I have to make my exit because of my wife's medical condition. And while I really wanted to listen to the issues of the senators and answer it properly, my executive director, Attorney Roy, can properly respond and resolve some problem in my absence, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there anyone who would do the presentation for the budget proposal of Philippine Sports Commission? Is it Attorney Eroy? Is that?
Yes, Attorney Roy is on deck, and also the planning officer will be presenting the PSC presentation, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Sige ho, we recognize whoever is in charge now of the presentation. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sorry po, Senator. Thank you po.
Good afternoon, Senator Joel Villanueva. Good afternoon also to all the attending senators, Senator Bongo, Senator Migsubiri, Senator Pia Cayetano, Senator Francis Tolentino. I'm going to present the 2022 budget of PSC. Now, the Philippine Sports Commission was created in 1919 by virtue of Republic Act 6847. It is the sole policy-making body of all amateur sports in the country, and it has two main missions. First mission is to support the development of locally international, support the development of local and international sports. Second is to implement a national grassroots sports program nationwide. Major accomplishments of the agency, as mentioned earlier by Chairperson Mita. We are a partner in the PSC Gov DOH JAO, and this JAO serves also as the basis for us to establish a bubble training outside the NCR for the athletes who are bound or training for international competition. Another major accomplishment is PSC being the vice chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the National Academy of Sports, is a major partner of DepEd in the formulation of the implementing rules and regulations. Last law was enacted last year, June 9, 2020. Second is we took some initial steps for the construction or in preparation for the construction of the Philippine Sports Training Center. PSTC has a budget of 3.5 billion pesos, and we coordinated for the development of the PSTC. We coordinated with the DPWH and the NEDA as our partners also for this in the construction of PSTC. We inducted 2 months ago. We inducted 10 Hall of Famers, all of which are notable personalities in sports. The Hall of Fame is composed of the selection committee of Hall of Fame is composed of GAB, POC, PSC, and some other sports personalities. And for this year, the top 10 Hall of Famers were formally inducted, and their memorabilia as part of their reviews or past training careers will be enshrined in the PSC Hall of Fame in the future.
Mr. Chairman, may we just ask what were the names
Yes.
of the Hall of Famers, yung 10, sir, sa PSC?
Yes, Mr. Domingo.
Sir, can I Senator Mix, sir, can I provide it later after the presentation, sir?
Sure, no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just curious. I'm just sorry
Yes.
to.
So am I. We're both looking forward to that list. Thank you. Please continue, Mr. Domingo.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next is we supported the COVID response and recovery plan of the government by way of allowing the use of RMSC and Philsports passive venues. So since last year, these venues have been used for as quarantine centers. Now, we also supported the Paralympic Games and the Olympic Games, which just held last month, and it is also remarkable to note that we got our first gold medal in the Olympics, courtesy of Miss Heidelin Diaz of weightlifting. We also got 3 more medals: 1 silver, 2 silvers, and 1 bronze, courtesy of all from the boxing team. For 2022 budget of PSC, we proposed 1.5 billion if you're going to consider the 2021 budget, the current year budget of PSE, we have a budget of 1.3 billion. Now, unfortunately, DPM only endorsed to Congress 211 million. This is like 85% lower than the proposed budget of PSC. So if we could check on the details of the budget, it's 211 million is just enough for the salary of employees and the operations, basic operations of the agency, like utilities of the 36 sports venues, security guards, cleaners, etc. So there's almost nothing left for sports development other than the 27 million, which shall be shared by the four programs. But of course, since pandemics, we need to quarantine is still in effect, we are making use of our other means of programs or projects to connect with the different LGUs through our Batang Pinoy. This is the national competition program for youth. Laro sa Parque, the family youth-oriented recreation program held at the park. Women in sports, different advocacies in sports. And another one is the Philippine National Games, also a national competition program. Of course, there are no face-to-face activities. It's just a matter of keeping in touch with the LGUs and offering them a different kind of activities, remotely, virtually. For tier 2 of the requested budget of 1.5 billion, 1.5 billion is being appealed by the agency for inclusion in the 2022 GAE budget. The breakdown of the 1.5 billion are as follows. We wish to conduct another Hall of Fame since it's a biannual activity of the PSC. And of course, the Indigenous Peoples Games. These are non-contact sports or non-contact activities, national certification course, the Asian Beach Games, and under Chair 2, the number 7, item number 7, is the consultancy services in crafting the Master Development Plan, PSTC. As I mentioned earlier, PSTC is a law created in 2019, enacted in 2019, and it has a budget of 3.5 billion. Now, because of the pandemic, this Master Development Planning was hampered. So now in 2022, we will push through with the plan of the Master Development Plan. And this is the basic requirement, the primary requirement before we proceed to the step 2, which is the construction proper of PSTC. So this is this amount, the 600 million, was also unendorsed by DPM. On items number 8 to 15, these are all international competitions where we are committed to participate next year. First is the Winter Olympics in China, then Asian Games in China also, Asian Indoor Martial Arts Games in Thailand, Asian Youth Games in China, the World Games in USA, Southeast Asian Games. This is Vietnam is still the host, and for information of POC, Vietnam will decide on whether to push through with the SEA Games next year or not, come October or next month. These are the remaining 2 are advocacies that we wish to continue also, like the involvement of para games in international competition, the para athletes, and the Philippine National Anti-Doping Organization. There are a number of activities that we wish to continue together with the PILNADO. All of these.
Just a clarificatory question, if I may.
Yes, Majority Leader, please.
Sa SEA Games lang, ED, yung sa SEA Games, I think October yata, di ba? Decide na sila by October if matutuloy sa Vietnam this December. It's supposed to be in December, Vietnam, no? Of
Yes,
2020.
yes, Mr. Chair. Supposed to be the SEA Games in December, but they will decide next month whether to postpone it sometime. The available window for SEA Games, Mr. Chair, is March and May only for next year calendar. So that will determine by next month's
Pero
once
parang
Vietnam
pero parang ang
decides.
direction ED is ano, 'di ba? Parang to kasi if they don't want to do a postponement, what they want to do is they want to either discuss cancellation or tuloy. Kasi
Yes,
2023 yung Cambodia eh. 'Di ba?
yes,
So
Mr. Chair. In fact, Cambodia is
magkakaroon ng
February, Mr. Chair, yung Cambodia, February 2023. So the window is very tight for.
very tight. Yeah, you cannot send in two succeeding years to delegations. Mabigat. Tsaka yung problema yata ng Vietnam, hindi katulad ng Japan where they have a lot of money, where they can exclude people from watching in venues. They just play the games. So walang kita yung Japan doon. Malaking lugi ng Japan doon. So I do not know if Vietnam wants to do the same. But hopefully, for sports, sana matuloy. Pero kung hindi, maybe we can focus also on the 2023 Cambodia. So we will know, ED will know by October, di ba, kung tuloy or hindi.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We are in constant coordination with the POC president, and in fact, 2 days ago we talked about it, and he will inform us whether SEA Games will continue next year or it will be cancelled, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, ED, thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Please continue, sir.
This will be all for PSC's presentation. Thank you very much po.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Lauro Domingo, Chief Planning, Research and Development Division. We'll start the questioning from our colleagues, Senator Pia Cayetano. Yes, ma'am, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Si Majority, okay na si Majo kasi nauna siya. Are you good?
Yes, interject if it's with the permission of Majority Leader.
Yeah, para matapos ko na rin yung line of questioning ko. It's mostly about sports. I think
Yeah,
we're
you said,
aligned
go
on
ahead.
yeah.
Sure. Go ahead, Majority Leader.
Chairman, thank you, my dear
Sorry.
Senator Cayetano. No, mine is very quick. It's just a push to add to their budget. Alam po ni Senator Tol Tolentino, whose brother happens to be my president in the POC, Senator Bambol Tolentino. Both of them are equally great. One is a sultan, one is the president of a POC. But Mr. Chairman, yes, we need to fund. We have to get the momentum going. I do not know if Chairman Ramirez is still there, but I think he had to leave. No? But as I mentioned earlier, I want to congratulate the PSC for a job well done. We've done so well in the past 2 years, particularly in the Southeast Asian Games, the staging of the Southeast Asian Games. Of course, the brother of our distinguished colleague, Senator Cayetano, has a lot to do with that. We almost lost it. We almost gave it up, but your brother took the cudgels. Actually, I was supposed to be the one to run it, pero natakot ako kasi I couldn't work with the structure at that time. Alam po ni Senator Pia yung background noon. But of course, there was a revamping of the...
Me too, I know that, Majority Leader, me too.
Hirap na hirap kami noon. And I said, hindi ko na kaya ito. So, thankfully, Senator Cayetano, the former, he was then Secretary Cayetano, was able to take up the cudgels, and we had a revamp of the POC, which was headed now by no other than Congressman Bambol Tolentino, and we had all the medals. No, we had that was the most, I think, in terms of medal haul for a Southeast Asian nation, record-breaking yun. I think we had about over 120 gold medals. 14 of which, Mr. Chairman, galing po sa armies. Kami nagbigay ng 14 doon. Pero, and then we were able to get a gold medal in the Olympics, as well as two silver medals and 1 bronze. So it goes to show, Mr. Chairman, and you are a sportsman yourself. You used to be the UST team for the UST Growling Tigers. So
I represented the country twice, Majority Leader,
you are a
twice.
national team player. So
Thank you.
you know how important it is na kayo may budget po ang
Yes.
ating mga teams at ating mga adhikain, particularly sa sports. So we just want to keep the momentum growing. It's so far we are the champions in the Southeast Asian countries when it comes to sports. Even in the Olympics, we'd like to keep that momentum growing, that we are a powerhouse in sports, particularly in Southeast Asia and even in Asia. We have the Asian Games. I do not know kung matutuloy po yung Asian Games, but we have the Asian Games coming up. We want to make sure that our champions in the Olympics and the SEA Games will be able to participate there. So talagang ang push ko na yun po is just really a manifestation that we have to continue the gains. We really have to continue that, and the only way to do that is to continuously fund our players. EJ Obiena is doing a wonderful job now all over the world competing for us. Carlos Yulo is doing a wonderful job competing for us in the different events. And so many others. No, we have our boxers, we have our martial artists, we have Hidilyn Diaz, who's still quite capable of winning another gold in the Asian Games if she so decides, and even the SEA Games. So marami pa po tayong mga talent dyan na kailangan natin tulungan, and we have to keep the momentum. So I am supportive of the chair in any way possible to continue the funding for these programs and measures. You will have my support in plenary, and of course, we will ask the majority to support as well these incentives. I do not think anyone would go against this. The moral victory that we had seen in the last Olympic Games was so inspiring for all of us that I think we can see now the rationale why we do have to support sports in our national budget. So yun lamang po, it was just a manifestation. I have no questions for the PSC. I'm hoping that kung hindi man matuloy yung Vietnam Games, we can focus on the Cambodia Games. And I heard, the good news is, Mr. Chair, I heard in the Cambodia SEA Games, they will adopt Arnis. They will have Arnis as a game in Cambodia. Kasi I was very close to the leaders of the Cambodian National Sports Commission and their NOC. And they were very happy that they took home a gold. I think naging national hero yata yung gold medalist nila. Yung sa SEA Games natin dito, that was the only gold that they won. And they're quite excited to host Arnis again. So we're quite excited again to prop up our athletes for Cambodia. I know Vietnam, unfortunately, hindi tayo nakapasok doon. I think it's a bit more political. They wanted Vovinam in the Philippines Games para may Vovinam din sa Vietnam. Hindi natin na-accommodate yung Vovinam, so medyo nagtampo. Wala din Arnis sa kanila. But if it doesn't push through in Vietnam, we have a chance again to promote our national sport and martial arts in the 2023 Cambodia Games. So I'm quite excited for that. Either way, we will support Vietnam and Cambodia in this endeavor. But yun lamang po, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat. And I congratulate the men and women of the Philippine Sports Commission for really a job well done. I cannot put it more mildly. They did a great job. And I think we have to continue that momentum. Maraming salamat po, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Majority Floor Leader, Senator Mig Subiri, and we'll take note of what you mentioned, that you will finance our Arnis team. Thank you, Your Honor. But kidding aside, it's very uplifting, very inspiring to see our national athletes compete, and such a great feeling. You know, I don't give a chance to share my personal experiences in the past for the first Southeast Asia Basketball Association held in Johor, Malaysia, and then the other one is in Taipei, Taiwan. It's remarkable, and it's something that you will never forget when you put on that jersey with the Philippine flag. And I'm sure it inspires a lot of people from all walks of life. Walang anong kulay ang pinag-uusapan pag lumalaban yung kapwa natin nga kababayan with the Philippine flag. na dala niyang uniforme. Kaya we are all very supportive of sports here. And again, we thank our majority leader for always pushing us hard to support our athletes, our PSC, and our programs in developing more athletes in the country. Thank you again, Mr. Majority Leader. We give the floor now to Senator Pia Cayetano, our Senate outlet also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to comment that that one and only goal that the Philippine Arnis team gave up was probably strategic to ensure that the Cambodia team would be excited about the sport and welcome the sport to be added to their list of sports when they host, no? Because the Arnis team gathered up the goals. So,
Just to add, they were really a good team. They're really a good team. Actually, they got a lot of bronze and silver medals also. Natalo talaga, legitimately, natalo yung ibang Filipino athletes natin sa kanila. We sent coaches there. By the way, Filipino coaches ang pinadala natin doon.
They were the ones who trained them.
Yes, they came here for training camp. We sponsored it, and then we trained. We sent. We paid also for the coaches that were sent there. So magaling yung team nila, Sen Pia. They really deserve it, and I think that's why they're excited to prove their mettle again. So thank you, Sen Pia. Thank you for interjecting.
I definitely didn't want to make it appear that it was luto or in any way. In fact, that was my next question. I assume that Filipino coaches din ang nagturo kasi that's our local sport, diba? So I was curious, like, do they have something like it that they had an interest, pero nagpadala ka pala ng coaches, and that's what helps grow our sport. So that's really amazing, and it's also your pride, no, to see that the sport that you sponsored as the national sport, I'm referring to His Honor, the Majority Floor Leader, is growing in the region. So congratulations for that. It's a model for us to look forward to emulate. So Mr. Chairman, allow me to just make a brief statement, and then maybe some of my comments would require a response, no, from PSC. Obviously, taking off from our stellar performance in the Olympics, no, all of us use that as our as a point of discussion. But I thank also the Majority Floor Leader for recognizing that it actually started months and years before that, no, not just with the Olympic participation itself, but the Southeast Asian Games that we hosted, and then even the training of all the athletes that comes before that. So, like I said in a number of speeches I delivered in the Senate, it's not an overnight feat, no, for these Olympians to bring home a medal. It's not even something they work for a year. It's really a lifetime commitment, and we acknowledge that, and that is why I go now to my questions, observations, and then the PSC can answer later on. I noticed that there's zero capital outlay. Now, when COVID hit us, I attended a lot of international conferences online hosted by the World Bank and the IMF, and even local conferences. And, you know, I was convinced that investment in infrastructure is really a way of pushing for growth, especially during times where there's a lot of contraction in the economy. Because it provides jobs, no? Alam ni Majority Floor Leader yan, sa probinsya, magkakatrabaho yan. I mean, I never was a big supporter of, yung mga farm to market, possibly because of ignorance, because I'm a city girl, so hindi ko nakita yun. But when I became a biker, I bike all over the country, dun ko talaga nakita na, wow, this town, for example, I became a graduation speaker in a town called Sindangan, which is 80 kilometers away from Dipolog City, and I biked to the graduation ceremony. And I said to myself, I would have never accepted that kung magkukotse lang ako kasi pagod na ako bumiyahe. Pero on a bike, it became exciting to me to pass through all the towns and arrive in that town. And I asked the kids, the graduation ceremony, this was mga 3 years ago, before COVID, I said, ilan na po sa inyo ang nakarating sa sa city? The biggest city would have been Dipolog City. And so little of them. And may highway doon. So doon ko na, that and many other experiences made me realize that, wow, these simple things like farm to market road, access lang to things that we city people take for granted is such a big thing. And thus my concern about capital outlay and the background I gave that in the conferences that I attended, it was really being promoted that now is the time to take out loans. And as a majority floor leader, the chairman know, our ability to borrow is still at a good rate. We still have very good lending rates. Now would be the time to invest in infrastructure projects, and precisely because the whole country is still enjoying the aftermath of the Olympic high, hindi naman ganun kahirap siguro na mag-invest in more world-class sports complex that our athletes would need, diba? Kasi by the time, like I said in my earlier manifestation when we started, Mr. Chairman, by the time this budget is approved, it's for 2022, and by then, more and more Filipinos would have been vaccinated, and the opportunity to have more safe training programs would be there. But if you're not investing in building, edi ilan-ilan lang pa rin ang mapupuntahan nila. Patawarin, Lord, ang tanda-tanda na ng Rizal Memorial, di ba? Pati yung sa Ultra. Thank God, and I've recently been there 2 or 3 times during the pandemic. I've actually visited our sports complex in New Clark City, and it's beautiful. And I do support more programs like this all over the country. So that's one question, capital outlay, bakit wala? Nag-request ba kayo? Kasi based on the proposal, wala rin. So wala rin ba kayong idea, or is this meant to be devolved? Kindly give me an answer on capital outlay. And then ang maintenance natin, MOOE natin, for 2021, you asked for an increase for 2022. The increase was not granted, and yet bumaba pa, lower pa than the current rate yung MOOE. And I'll just quickly repeat that in times like this, especially since you also have a list of games that we intend to safely send our athletes to, I suppose the ability of our PSC to mobilize and to check on the athletes and to do whatever it is that they do should at least be retained. So quick response lang please from PSC on this. Obviously on MOE, I know you'll say you want it. Okay, so no need to elaborate on that. But on the capital outlay,
You are muted, sir. If you can change your mode, please unmute your computer. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Sorry, Mr. Chair. Yes, ma'am. In fact, we submitted the capital outlay for the Philippine Sports Training Center. This has been a law already and need to be funded for its preparation. So we have now a site in Bataan, which was land donated by province of Bataan through the effort of Governor Garcia and Congressman Garcia. And once the bridge between Cavite and Bataan, ma'am, will be finished, it's just around 45 minutes from Manila. So it's very near to the main PSC from Manila to Bataan. So on the other hand, ma'am, on the capital or the MOE, we submitted also on international competition under a tier 2 pursuant to the DBM requirements. But they only endorsed to the Congress in the NEP is only around 175 million, or including the special fund that would be around 30 million for horse racing, that around 200 plus million, ma'am. So we requested, but DBM only endorsed such an amount to Congress, ma'am.
okay. Quick comment, no? So you mentioned a Bataan site. So that's the only possible program that you have planned for Bataan.
Yes, ma'am. We focus on the Philippine Sports Training Center by next year, ma'am. In light of the law that was passed to ensure that future national athletes will have a home training center for future competitions.
I'm just curious, why Bataan, which is also in Central Luzon, when you already have the National Stadium, which is a world-class certified stadium and facility, a few kilometers away, also in Central Luzon? Wouldn't it be more valued use of your money to limited funds? Hindi nga kayo pinondohan eh, di ba? Tapos doon
Yes,
nyo pa
ma'am.
itatabi sa existing. May I know the answer?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, there are several sites that been proposed, ma'am. One is Clark, in fact, but the land area that to be covered is something not this at par with Bataan because they give us 25 hectares without any conditions. Unlike in Clark or the BCDA, there will be some condition. There are also lot provided somewhere in Pampanga, but the area is too hot when lalo na pag summer. So
What I don't understand is existing na yung sa New Clark City sa Tarlac eh. Existing na yun eh. Bakit wala bang access ang athletes doon?
Meron ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Games. So,
If you
bakit kayo
notice, ma'am,
magpapatayo ng malapit lang doon?
ma'am, if you notice, the BCDA, ma'am, has a project management private company that manage the uh, Pampang or the Clark Stadium because that was the plan of BCDA. Yeah. So the control is not with PSC. So this
But it's not a question of control. It's a question of, is it a good training place for your athletes? Whether you control it or not, it's still a government corporation. It's still a government corporation with that you have access to. So I still don't understand, why would you build so near it? What's the answer?
That was the decision of the board when they have all evaluated the proposal submitted by the proponents, ma'am, as to the areas where the Philippine Sports Training Center to be established.
Well,
The
your
only
answer is
reason,
a no answer because you're just telling me that's the decision of the board. You're supposed to explain to me how they came to that decision.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
I cannot fathom, my brain cells cannot fathom why, if with limited funds, you will put up another facility near the existing fund. And so what if they have a project manager? It's such a big, it's a world-class facility. Dapat lang naman, nagmamanage, di ba? Dapat lang.
Yes, ma'am. The only advantage in that area, ma'am, is that will be exclusively for the national athletes only, and there will be no other stakeholders that will stay there. And sa ano kasi, ma'am, doon for competitions.
With limited funding that we have, wouldn't you not rather na mag-share ang athletes, national athletes, with whoever athletes are there? And I'm not aware that there's a long list of other athletes using those facilities. World-class nga yun. So I would suppose we would prioritize our world-class athletes as well. And then with your limited funding, ilagay nyo dun sa mga lugar na wala namang access yung ibang world-class potential athletes natin like Mindanao. How many of our world-class our Olympians came from Mindanao? 3 ba? Oh.
Apat. In fact, ma'am, all medalists natin, 4 are from Mindanao. And most of the ma'am,
project nyo, doon nyo pa dinikit sa meron na.
Actually, ma'am, we have also planned to have tapping a regional training center with the LGUs who has an existing sports facilities like Zamboanga and Cebu and as far as North Luzon, ma'am, doon sa Ilocos. So that is also part.
But obviously, ang priority nyo is itong kadikit na dahil yung kaisa-isang binanggit mo, ito, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yun yung na-identify. Yes, ma'am.
Kaya nga, nagtataka lang ako kung bakit ang pinipilit nyo na project nyo is yung kadikit na ng existing project. Especially na alam nyo na wala pa nga dun sa Visayas and Mindanao na access, tapos dun nyo pa ipipilit sa Central Luzon. Hindi man lang sa Southern Luzon, di ba? May iba naman. Anyway, wala kayong budget. So, wala rin tayong pinag-uusapan dahil wala kayong budget. And sadly, I don't intend to support that budget if anyone will push for that because, Mr. Chairman, I hope please take note that what I want is a capital outlay budget for the efficient use of our resources. So ayokong ilalagay yan if ever merong mag-propose na ilalagay yan dun sa katabi lang ng iba pang existing world-class facility. Ilagay natin sa iba yan in case. But in any case, it's not in this budget. So to make it clear, I support the capital outlay budget, but not in a facility that is near the existing facility that our world-class athletes can already access. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. We will discuss that with your office, ma'am, together with the chairman, ma'am, for your concurrence, ma'am, later on. Yeah.
Ay, hindi ako magko-concur. Kaya wag ka nang umasa na magko-concur ako sa isa pang project na for me is not a good use of existing funds. Maybe in due time, walang problema, in due time. Pero now, during the time of COVID, the kind of infrastructure and investment of sports facilities that I want is spread out over the country. Wag dun sa kadikit na ng existing facility natin. Yun ang point ko. Mr. Chairman, please take note of that because I will.
Thank you. We take note of that. But if I just may, Senator Pia, no, to put it on record also, yung issue kanina that yung sa Clark, parang ang daming nanonood ho sa atin ngayon eh. We pass RA 11214 and I just don't want them to be confused na hindi makaka-access yung ating mga national athletes dun sa world-class stadium natin, world-class facilities natin dun sa Clark. That is not the case. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. In fact, we have athletes who start training. They're supposed to be we plan the swimming, the diving team, and also the athletics. But the athletics went to Baguio for their bubble camp, Mr. Chair. Your
Which
Honor.
will also be part of your grassroots centerpiece program. Is that the case, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. In fact,
Okay.
we have been meeting with Clark because we want to optimize the venue because no one uses it. But right now, soon maybe by next year, Mr. Chair, we will expand all the possibilities because the bubble training of all sports are ongoing because of the preparation. So for SEA Games and the Asian Games, so definitely, Clark is one of the areas that where our national athletes will have a training once the management will allow us to use it next year, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Senator Pia.
So I encourage you to fast track your discussions with them kasi that's really our vision that the athletes have access. Now, whether there are some processes you have to go through because binanggit mo may project manager, edi go through it. Syempre, meron din naman silang protocols, di ba? I suppose naman na dapat lang naman pagdaanan yung mga necessary steps na yun. So just go ahead and do it.
Yes, ma'am.
So Mr. Chairman, I'll move on to my next point. And this will be very brief. No, I note the inclusions request for inclusions of PSC, and I just like to highlight a few which I feel are very easy for us to support and which should be prioritized while we are still dealing with COVID. So katulad nitong National Sports Coaching Certificate course. For me, that is the perfect investment, di ba? Kasi it's a smaller group. These are just the coaches. These are not huge events. I'm assuming a lot of it would be theoretical, so maybe it's even online. Now, whether it's online or with live, I don't care. I would support both because they can find ways to do this in a bubble if in fact there are face-to-face components here, Mr. Chairman. So sana ito masama natin. Now, as to the different games, I leave it up to PSC to recommend which are their priorities because obviously they are the ones with the technical know-how on what should be prioritized. But definitely, I want the Senate to be able to support the participation of our athletes in some of these games. You will note, I noted, Mr. President, and many of us prepared our own resolutions honoring our Olympians. And if we look at them, I looked at each one because I reviewed my own resolutions. These athletes had a vast experience. Not our Olympians had vast experience competing abroad, and this is really what hones their skills, shows them the level of competition out there. So for me, this would be the kind of investment. And as I said, it depends again on which games we want to support, which games PSC would recommend that would also have very high standards in terms of the safety of our athletes. We should support this. So sana masubmit din nila kasi alam nga naman mag ano kami diyan, ano, mag ini-ini mo kami diyan. Sabihin niyo diyan kung ano yung factors na tinitingnan niyo para i-push yung particular na event na yon, di ba? Which one over the others, because I don't know if we will be able to support all those games. But give us the criteria, like what sports are here, what kind of exposures they'll get here, so on and so forth. And one more point I'd like to make on the exposure and the competition of the athletes is this. I wish Chairman Butch was here, no, but I'm sure you will relate this to him, Attorney
Yes, ma'am.
NBT. You know, obviously, in the months leading up to the Olympics, the expenses that we would incur in terms of travel and training, foreign training and or competition would be consistent with the Olympics, correct? Obviously,
Yes,
di
ma'am.
ba? Kasi
Yes, ma'am.
Olympics yung pinaghahandaan natin. And yet, I am very much aware that some NSAs were given budget to allow their athletes to travel abroad, even though their athletes would never have a chance to make enough points to qualify for the Olympics. Okay? May ganon. So that is not efficient use of very valuable funds. I am not against spreading out the funding with different sports. So at a time where we're preparing for Southeast Asian Games, that would be a good time to spread out the funding over the different sports. But at the time that we're talking about the Olympics, we have to be realistic kung ilan lang naman talaga ang sports natin that have the qualification to make it to the Olympics, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely, ma'am, because they are ranked according to their participation.
Yes, and but I know for a fact, and I will just share this with my colleagues, that there are sports that receive funding, even though kahit na mag number 1 pa yung athlete nila in the sport na pinadala nyo, yung ranking niya napakababa pa rin, hindi na siya aabot. Eh bakit tayo nagpadala nun? What was that for? What was that for? Hindi ba dapat yung pondong yun na ibigay sa athlete na may chance mag-qualify?
All the 19 NSAs, ma'am, who in fact 20 who requested funding for a qualification, they were all part in the preparation. So when we requested that and the Congress approved, they are all part of that funds to buy for qualification. So all of those na 20 NSAs, ma'am, were given funding.
Mr.
at that time.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, they were part of the short list of sports that we are supporting for the Olympics. But did you take time to look at the points that the athletes had garnered? Because if you took the time, you don't need to be a mathematician to know na kahit na mag number 1 sila sa dalawa pang event, hindi pa sila rin aabot. Ang layo. And again, we support the athletes. Wala siguro iba pa than a handful of us who really know the life of an athlete. I support, but I also have the job of helping you with the budget. And hindi ako papayag na hindi nyo nabibigay sa tamang grupo yung budget na kinakailangan.
Totoo po yung sinabi niyo, ma'am.
I want to make it public kasi baka sabihin pa na hindi ako nagsusupport ng sport na yon. Hindi yon. Ang point ko, at the time of the Olympics, dapat binigay yon dun sa talagang makaka-qualify. And it's not enough that you say that they were in the list. Did you look at the points? Ang layo niya. Ang layo.
Totoo po yun, ma'am. In fact, ma'am, next year we have...
Meanwhile, alam ko na nanawagan, at again, for their sake, I will not tell you, meron akong 3 or 4 Olympians na nakarating, na nananawagan for the next month na kailangan pa rin nila ng tulong. Kulang pa rin yung pagkain nila, kulang pa rin yung... Tapos eto, nalaman ko na binibigyan nyo na hindi naman aabot.
Yes, ma'am. Ang support natin, ma'am, continuous, ma'am, kasi we course it through their NSAs. In fact, this year...
So hindi nyo pwedeng bawiin yon kung even during the time na mag-o-Olympics na, tapos kunyari lang, Mr. Chairman, 1 year before or 6 months before, kahit na anong computation mo, hindi siya aabot. Is it not the wise use of funding to allocate it properly, especially if it's games like the Olympics? I'm not talking about SEA Games where we spread it out to as many as possible. Pero yung Olympics, alam na natin na ilan lang makakarating. Diba? Worth yun pag-isipan, Mr. Chairman? Hindi nyo ba pwedeng yung pondong yun, kung hindi pala magka-qualify?
Yes, ma'am. Actually,
That's a no-brainer,
yeah.
Your Honor. That's
Yeah,
no-brainer.
yes,
It's
ma'am.
efficiency. Talk about efficiency.
Let me use the sport of Senator Zubiri kasi he knows naman na, I mean well, in my example. Example lang totally inventong example. Meron siyang isang athlete nag-qualify na sa Olympics. Ang galing. Tapos yung pangalawang athlete niya, ang layo. Kahit na 3 international competition, hindi pa rin lalapit. And the event that's coming up is the Olympics. If it's the SEA Games, wala namang problema, but it's the Olympics. So why would you still give it there? Wala kayong mechanism na pwedeng ma-allocate sa iba na mga ngailangan nun?
If you notice, ma'am, supposed to be this year's also is SEA Games. Those who requested for funding are also buying for SEA Games this year as part of their preparation. We know for a fact that there are athletes who will really not qualify for the Olympics. But given that, ma'am, because this year, some of those who would like to be involved in the competition.
Games. So on that note, maybe you can clarify that information. Kasi yung mga nakita kong post going to my qualifying for the Olympics, yung support, tapos malaman ko na alayo pala hindi mo na talaga makakarating. Tapos nakakatanggap ako talaga from other Olympic hopefuls na wala man lang silang yung basic needs nila hindi na-reach. So napapaisip ako ng gano'n. Di dapat pala clear yon na this is training for the SEA Games, not for the Olympics.
Because their exposure also, ma'am.
Nagpapaasa din yung NSA na kunyari, Olympian yung mga bet nila, tapos hindi pala.
Actually, the board took note of that, ma'am. In fact, we have some sports. I think you know it very well. I will not mention. We know for a fact na hindi talaga siya abot because of the ranking that they had based on the information we had. But in their request, these are also part of their preparation in the ASEAN Youth Games, supposed to be this year, and some of it for the SEA Games. So that was the reason why the board give the approval as part of their exposure and training, ma'am.
I accept that. So my final note on it is improve the communication and tell the NSAs to be clear on how they are using that. Kasi yung supporters ng mga sports na yan should have the right to know how public funds are being spent, di ba? Na, itong favorite athlete ko pala, sinusupport natin as a taxpayer to go to prepare for the SEA Games or to prepare for the Asian Youth and not be misled that they're preparing for the Olympics. Di ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman, thank you very much. You know you have my support.
Thank you very much, Senator Cayetano. We give the floor to Senator Tolentino. Just time check lang 1:51. We're in the session hall. We know that we have to leave early, perhaps in a few minutes because of our 3 o'clock session. Just to remind lang. Sige po, Senator Tolentino, you have the floor.
Be quick because I still have to travel. I'll be attending the session physically. Mr. Chairman, 3 questions addressed to the PSC. Anybody can answer, siguro si Chairman Boots. Are you aware of a letter coming from the Armed Forces of the Philippines prohibiting now the training of military athletes? And what steps have you done to prevent this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There was a request for a termination of a detailed service to the PEC, but we justified that it should be extended because the preparation is ongoing because the SEA Games might not happen this year, but it will be happen by early next year. So along February 2023. So Asian Games is forthcoming. So we have a lot of games, sir. Yeah.
What was the answer given to you?
We have yet to receive the reply from the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Secretary Lorenzana, as I have helped you during the last budget deliberations, wherein Senator Angara agreed for the increase, the same is true with Senator Villanueva, and that probably helped in the positive results coming from the Olympic Games. My second question is this: what is our current policy relative to foreign coaches? I still have to see a budget item relative to foreign coaches. Do we have a pool
of foreign coaches? Because apparently, if you scrutinize the records, most of our Olympic medalists were trained by foreign coaches. So is there a budget for foreign coaches to be direct?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we source it from the National Sports Development Fund. Yeah. And the foreign coaches were endorsed by the National Sports Association, Mr. Chair. Yeah.
So siguro next year, or if there's still time this year, we make it clear for foreign coaches. Do not coach it in a language that would hide the real intention of the budgetary allocation. So for foreign coaches, it's not prohibited.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will put that because we want to increase the participation of foreign coaches in our system.
So by mentioning it directly, the more we can invite foreign coaches. My third question is this, with all due respect. Can you provide this committee a list of all NSAs provided with appropriate funding as included in the 2021 GAA? Because I've heard that some of the NSAs have yet to receive their allocations, and another NSA just received a letter of the disbursement, the appropriate allocation, just last Friday. So bakit ang tagal ng iba? Di ba?
I think the delay is caused by the unliquidated, Mr. Chair. So we coordinated with our finance because we don't want that the training of the athletes will be compromised. But we are already coordinating with those.
Ang nangyayari, ginagastusan na nung sarili-sariling NSA, sila muna, tapos nagre-reimburse na lang, which is a wrong methodology. So, can you provide this committee a complete list of how you disperse the funds for the NSAs? I am in complete agreement with your budgetary request. I can even move for an increase, just what we did last year. But it has to be coordinated with the Philippine Olympic Committee properly, with the NSAs properly, and there should be no withholding of funds on a selective basis, because the funds are allotted for all our athletes without discrimination whatsoever. I hope we can be clear on that. Our goal here is to have a unified, strong, sports development program, and we do not pre-select who should receive and who should not receive.
Yes, Mr. Chair, there is no pre-selection. Everyone is rated the same. The only little problem there is we are really trying to help the NSAs to liquidate their prior financial assistance so that there will be no problem with respect to our COA.
Perhaps, Mr. Chair, perhaps we can receive that communication from the PSC before the plenary deliberation of the PSC's budget. But I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman. I promise you I'll be quick. I'm supportive of the PSC budget, and I therefore move for its approval and submission to the plenary with possible increases if our colleagues would merit the same consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I so move.
Thank you. But before we act on the motion, we take note of the request of the distinguished gentleman from Cavite, and please add also yung how many National Sports Association availed of your financial assistance, which was sourced from National Sports Development Fund, yung breakdown din po. And lastly, yung kasi I'm concerned with the of course, given that the operations of horse races, lottery draws, and the income of PAGCOR apektado ngayong pandemya, and the National Sports Development Fund rely on their revenues, I wanted to find out kung how are we doing and ano yung projected natin na maapektuhan with the National Sports Development Program of the Commission, and before we tackle this on the floor, alam natin baka may mga adjustments that we can do and we could be of help. So thank you po. Going back to the motion of Senator Tolentino, is there any objection? The majority leader is seconding the motion. No objection. The chair hears none. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. distinguished ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to our Philippine Sports Commission family. And thank you again, Senator Zubiri, Senator Cayetano, Senator Tolentino, Senator Bongo, Senator Lacson. Maraming salamat po.
Chairman, just clarification lang.
Yes,
Yung budget
please.
po natin, Chairman, ano po yun? Na-approve natin for plenary with possibility to increase their budget kasi
Yes.
meron silang request for the games.
Yes, and at the same time, with the request of this representation and other senators of the breakdown, so we will be able to find out how we can adjust and what more we can do to help our PSC.
Okay, congratulations to the PSC family. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Majority Leader. If there's no other, yes, we are now suspending the deliberation of the budget of Subcommittee Letter J. Thank you very much, and again, congratulations. Salamat po. God bless us all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Roy. Thank you.
Thank you.